So hello everyone, I'm Ririn and welcome to my review of Crossdressing episode 9. I thought it a pretty good episode. I had some moments there that I wish I could maybe go a little more hand. I don't know, but like the cross-dressing scene there when Nisaka enters there. And it's like kind of cute, he's blushing right, he's like, oh, and then because he reacts to Nejima has the kind of like a typical, oh, I had uncontrolled that thing, right? I mean, it's a classic one of those things, right, where a man, so he goes out there, can't really control his body function, right? And of course Nisaka is aware of that Nejima can't control that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of nice, yeah, and he gets happy about that, right? And in that moment there, like that started pretty well, right? And then we see, of course, Nisaka like blushing, and we see him angry at him because Nejima doesn't get it, that he likes him and so on. I guess because he's flirting with a little bit there. But then he just kind of fizzle out and he leaves. So I think that scene was like, that's disappointed me. I have said right away. I mean, obviously, I wish for something more of that, right? More like, yeah, you know, like more. I don't know, it has to be physical, but just like more that Nisaka trying to seduce him. I don't know, or generally confessing that he likes him, or something like that, or at least like hinting to that to him, because the way he's hinting to it is way too shallow for Nejima to understand that. And I think most guys wouldn't get it. The way Nisaka is like very, very playing around, like it's very, very shallow with it. And Nejima is not really good with contextual stuff, right? As we know, the main character, it's most anime, is not really good with this stuff. So, of course, and Nisaka is supposed to be like a genius kind of character. He should know that. So it's a little ridiculous. So I didn't like that. So that disappointed me. I wanted to right away because it's like, man, I wanted to be more of a cross-dressing episode, or more like a yaoi team. Because I don't know if I like Nisaka as a character, right? But I think last week as well, it was kind of like, man, you have this perfect scenario now to seduce your friend, or at least tell him you like him, and or it's like, you know, see how he reacts. Like, yeah, let's try to like hit to him and see what happens. And again here, they're alone in the dressing room. And he's like, oh, but it thanks to you, and he does the whole thing like, oh, without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. It's because you called me pretty that I had a face. Like he does that kind of thing, right? Not exactly, but like he goes into that motivational thing. And it's kind of like hinting that, like, well, if you hadn't called me beautiful as a woman, I wouldn't want to go out there as a woman. And he kind of does that thing, but doesn't really like go anywhere, right? Like, it's starting, and I feel like the art was like, this could be a good Dushini. No. It's like, maybe they could. No, like, it feels like they are. It's almost right there. So, I think they could have gone a bit further into there. That's my number one for this episode. That really feel, because I think last week really set it up. And I complained about that last week. I was like, man, they really need to do something with this. Like, because that's like, wow, this is some serious parody of some classic random yaoi stuff. And I said it last week, like, I hope they're gonna do something with it. I hope that the author is gonna do something with this. Whereas last week it's gonna be bad as well. And that was pretty bad in that sense with them too, right? And it's like, here again, it's like, no. Like, it's almost, but not really. And, yeah, so I have to say it first. Otherwise, the ending, of course, this episode is really, really important, right? We have the ending, we have Sue talking to Nejima, and that's really tricky. It's really tricky to understand that. I imagine that all reviews, I don't know exactly, I don't read the manga, I don't know exactly what she has done and how it is, but the way she phrased it, and that obviously was purposely by the author, is like, it's your destined partner. It's like, do you mean by matchmaking? Do you mean by the legal system of this and this? Or do you mean by like you know, stars align love destiny? Like, what do you actually mean? And of course there's an ending, right? So it's like, yeah, so we can just assume. But, so one of my theories I have 3 major theories I did review like a month back or something like that. And one of my major ones then is that she knows that they're supposed to be together. And she's like, okay, this is supposed to marry my best friend. So I'm gonna ruin that for him and see if he still is gonna pick my best friend over whoever I pretend they're supposed to be married. She has the system, and she's like, I'm gonna force him to be with this other lady and see if he still picks my best friend, because my best friend is like, she deserves a real man, right? She's super in love. I think that very well could be it. How it was set up, how it was phrased there, but it does feel strange in a sense. Or if that is the case, the problem isn't really her action. The problem is more like this stars align general plot action, or the plot narrative in the sense that she always loved him, right? She loved him always pretty much her life. They loved each other since they were like 10 or something, for 5-6 years, right? And then suddenly they also are perfectly matched together. So it's a lot of like stars align, a lot of like they accidentally, because normally otherwise, right, they just match someone in Japan, say this is the best person for you, go and get married. But here apparently that if it proceeds as, if she means that she's supposed to be your actual matchmaking partner, that would be a ridiculous luck, right? Like, I'm in love with this girl, I've been in love with her for 5 years, she apparently loves me for 5 years, and also we are matched by the government. So like perfect life, yeah. So that'd be a little too much like lucky break there. Except if your friend had ruined the whole thing for you. But yeah, like excluding her friend went in there and ruined it for her. Otherwise it'd be super lucky. So that might be the case. I hope it isn't, as I mentioned right now. Because I do think that makes it a little weird how she would be like, I'm gonna ruin it for them. She would be kinda weird. I guess she wouldn't know that he loves her back already. But it's kind of weird. She should know then that she loves Nejima, her friend loves Nejima, beforehand. So she should be like happy. Yeah, so it's a little weird in that sense. Of course, already we had Yashima before that, talking about that, say that, okay, we know that someone like hacked the notification system. Someone did it, or something that seems to happen. I have no evidence, but that probably happened, right? But he also does say, though, that I checked the system again, and there is nothing wrong in the actual math. So I guess he's working there, right, and he probably has some kind of DNA systems and like some value system. He can probably go in there manually and see that, okay, because I have to do this test every year, and he can go through that, okay, 10, 10, 10, 11 here, 12 here, 9 there, okay, 5 in that. And he can probably do this manually. He probably knows the manual formula. So he can go in, compare, Ririn and Nejima might see, you are the best match. If I compare your data like this, you match up the most equal. I did it manually, it's the correct value, right? And he probably assume he took the other girl as well, right? Takasaki, and compare her as well. I saw that, no, they don't compare as good. He probably did that. By his state. He could be lying, of course, too. Because I'm not curious that the government did it because they want to test some stuff in their system. But yeah, who knows, right? But I'm guessing that here, her friend Sudan hacked the system, probably on her behalf, so she could try to seduce Nejima before he would get his wife. That still could be. I think that actually means a destined partner more than like matchmaking partner. I don't think she had hacked. Otherwise, it's a big difference in her skill set. Because in one skill, she hacked the system that tells you who you're gonna marry. Like the mail says, yeah, that is not that complicated, right? That's the one thing you can do, interrupt that and say, right? Not overcomplicated, like a phishing mail there, right? The other thing would be that she entered and like changed the data values of their hand, this and that, so they would match up with someone else. She would change his values in the system, pretty much, I guess. So she would not longer hit on her friend, instead hint on whatever random girl he got, and that was Ririn. Or she would change the value of the database, the matching values, to say, these are the actual matches. I'm gonna change that, hack that thing, and yeah, those two different things there. Some of those you could have done, but they are both way. And I mean, I'm a computer major, but like I'm a master hacker. No, but seriously, that is a huge difference. And I say that from experience. But literally, those are trying to hack some kind of matchmaking system. But I have actually coded the matchmaking system once back in the days. But I mean, generally, that obviously is way harder to go into the system, change the result, change like their like database value that they have. I mean, I guess they have these huge matrices pretty much with how they like their table sheets. So I do think that the government is very Japan, so I think they go like, what is your best pick here? A, B, C, D, yeah. And they compare, okay, how many people took, not number of A to B's, but more like, okay, if you take A to 11 this year, that means you're good matchmaking with someone who took 12C last year, and yada, and do the value system. Yeah. So you have to change that. You have to change that, go into database and change the values of one of them, their values, right? Like some of those values. Probably more than 1, 2, because you have to change to make it hit someone else, right? And also, she would have to hit Ririn, which, as we can see, it might be at least Ririn is very familiar and very similar to him. They are quite a good couple, right? So you would also have to change it. So yeah, but it's even hard to think about it, because if you screen the database, you change, and he's sorry with that, right? And you just throw him away, smaller lady. That is not that hard. Like, that is easier. You just and you hack it, and you use like brute force it, and something happens, and it's like you have to leave no trail though, I guess, because she's good at that. But generally, they will do some result. But she is also if she done it, she has managed to also give him a woman as a wife, right? He's like matchmaking wife. That is very good to him. That is like a good matchmaking, the good compatibility. She has to pretty much change like 2-3 values at max, right? So he just moved from Takasaki to Ririn. Yeah, like the next in line, and so on. So that's even harder. I think about it. That's even harder, because you have to do it properly too. So like get him another wife that makes sense that wise, and also with trick Yashime, what her name is. Trick him then, because he has the manual values. So you have to change those values. Yeah, I hope that's not the case, but it makes little sense. The more I think about it, the more complicated that is. Like, the more data-wise complicated that is. So I think she's just meaning it metaphorically. She's like your destined wife, not this other lady. That's why I did this thing for her. Probably. So that being said though, that's my theory for that episode. And that kind of concludes the episode too, in a way, because this episode wasn't the best episode in the anime. Like, it was an okay episode. I think that one problem with the episode is that the pacing wasn't that good, right? It felt like we saw the Nisaka cross-dressing stuff, and that, as I mentioned earlier, yes, I'm a little negative there, but it disappointed me. It really didn't go anywhere, and I want my yaoi, I want my cross-dressing stuff. Didn't go anywhere there. And then we just got to the ending. Like, nothing else, I really feel it didn't mean much. And the whole Romeo and Juliette thing, even though it's cute and beautiful, and like, that's something I've seen. I have seen this exact same thing. I've seen similar things in other animes, TV shows and so on, right? That is something you have seen to death, in my opinion. Something you probably have experienced in your own life. Like, we had a Romeo and Juliette theater show when I was like, I don't know, let's say 11. Like, each year you do one new, right? Everyone's in it, but you do it in different ones. And let's see. So where I'm from, you have to be in theater club. Everyone has to do it. Not like it's an option. Until you are, I want to say 15. Maybe I'm wrong, it's 13. Either 13 or 15. And after that, you have to pick it at 16 or 15, like at 15, depending on how when you're born. But yeah, like depending on the age there. For 9 and 10th class, yeah. So 1 to 9 class, you have to do it. But you probably do it for like 4 to 9, pretty much. You have to do it, and then it's like an elective course. So, you know, you have been in a review class, it sounds weird that you somehow have to kiss someone, right? So on, yeah, and like that. So that's been done to death, right? And this like cross-dressing thing is cute. It works well in this anime because you have a character that's gay. You have a character that wants to be a woman, so to speak. So it makes like it's better sense than usually. It's more like in other anime. It's more forced, right? Because they dress up some character. Usually the main character is a woman, then it makes less sense. So that's good in this anime though, and that's why it's pointed in as hey, because it's like you have this gay character and he's in love with the main character, and you have like 2 really good moments now where he could like really flirt with the main character and always just tell him that he likes him, right? Because traps aren't gay, right? But he has a chance to do it kind of here, and he doesn't really like commit to that. So that's disappointing because usually you set up like a beautiful character or the main character in this woman clothing, cross clothing in the anime, because it's not very. This is I've seen this like 10 of the anime, right? And you do that thing, and it's funny, and girl hits on him, maybe some boy hits on the main character, and it's played for laughs more, right? And so on, like a harem comedy. And just go over that, and it goes on. But here you actually have an actual gay character forced into a woman, but he doesn't want to do it. Then he's like, well, if you want me to be a woman for you, I will do it. And they start doing that, and they set up that like, okay, it's gonna be like a romantic moment here between the main character and whatever cross-dressing sexual character, whatever gay character, however Nisaka sees him, herself, whatever, we don't know. We don't know. Not really confirmed how Nisaka sees like death, whatever, right? Pronouns and so on. Yeah, like whatever. We don't know that, but whatever. Like the point here is that this is a rare occasion here in anime where they actually have, a character that is at least gay in the position here to really like be with the person he likes, and it's kind of like he does it a little bit. Then the feel that he lacked kind of the courage to go more of it. And I'm not saying it had to be physical, like actual, right? But you could kiss him, right? You could do something gentle, right? Or just tell him, "Do you like me in these clothes? Do you want to see it more, or whatever?" Right? Or it's like, "I do it for you. I like you," or whatever. So I think that's a little bit. And I say it too, not only because the moments has been there double now, but also because the pace is right. So episode 9 now. I think it's only 12 episodes or 3 episodes left. Anime is soon over. The manga is probably ongoing though, but still, it's still over, right? And it's kind of like getting into that moment where like, yeah, the ending was good in that sense. The ending pushed for a whole who lied in the first episode. They haven't really talked about that in episode 1. We see him confront Yashimi about it. So he's sorting it out and see Suri. So that's great. So there we finally starting to seal the deal there with like the matchmaking thing. Ririn, of course, overheard it, so that's great. That's really great. But I felt that it also could have done the Nisaka part as well. Right? I had like 10 minutes of time there to also like, deliver, okay, I'm also in love with you. He had time to deliver that thing there, and it didn't. So, and the pacing isn't that strong, right? So, like, when it's going to do that? I think the ending was much more better in the beginning, and now it kind of fizzled out here in the late episode. It's kind of slow. This episode was pretty funny, but one thing also, of course, was the whole like meeting Ririn in her gothic clothes. It was really cute, it was really funny. But that as well is kind of like, after that, I did like that he said himself, I was saying that, I was like, man, he has done nothing, I feel. It's like, I've done nothing. Like, yes, I liked it a lot. He was like, confirming it, yeah, I've done nothing. But the problem with that scene, though, was it was very, very slow. It was very, very slow. Like, I wanted it to be more like, maybe more, I don't know, more introspective, or it could be just throw away all sort of characters and just have him and Nisaka right away talking to each other, doing the whole thing. They do think I'm beautiful in blah 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 whatever, yeah. Or like, oh, why don't you say this to me? Do you get my love, whatever, yeah. Do that whole thing, extend that scene for like 3-4 minutes. I would much rather have more of Nisaka X Nejima X instead of having like 2-3 minutes there, like this weird thing with him like, I don't know what to do with my life. Oh, should I carry this package? Oh, sorry. Oh, no. And like, you just kind of fizzled around there doing nothing. Idle around, right? Then he gets Nisaka when they're alone. And then it feels like the episode that the scene starting. So the episode, the part between meeting Ririn, and that scene was good, but I was like too long. And after that scene was just like a few minutes of like nothing, right? It's like, yeah, that wasn't that funny. I actually got irritated the whole thing there, but he lift the, I have nothing close here to me as like package, but he lift the bag, the package bag, whatever you call it, carton, he lift that thing, it broke, was upside down, whatever. Those things fell down on the ground, and still the guy like, oh, I fixed it. Okay, sorry. And it was away with that. That was so weird. Like, why would he just like give it back to him? There's Steve standing there. Oh, people are going away. And Tatsuki-san, I was like, why are you not giving back the package to the guy that was doing the package thing? Why are you going away with it? It's empty. Like that scene just bugged me the wrong way. I guess it's the same in the manga. It probably makes no sense the writer. I was like, why is he taking an empty box? And why is he still in the box for? Like, it makes no sense. It also made sense the fact that the box was upside down for that matter. Like, that scene was just bad. Like, it was bad, I think. Like, it was like, because like, even if you're really, really airheaded, you're like, oh, love, the girls I love are here. Oh, like, even if you're in that mode, you kind of, your brain somewhere else. If you take someone's box and it breaks, you actually probably would be like, sorry. Like, yeah, you'd probably be like, oh, sorry, I was just thinking, oh, sorry, you'd probably give the box back. Like that, I think that would be your reaction. I think it would actually be more like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean, girl, get the box. I would like throw the boxes there, like, yeah, and then I would go away, right? And I would like, the girl I love, or the boy I love, whatever, yeah. I think that feels much more natural if you're in that position where you're like, what's happening? It's like, oh, suddenly I took your box. Oh, sorry, yeah, you just drop it, right? You throw it back to that guy so you can move on with what you are doing. Instead, I felt he was like, box is mine now. Oh, sorry. La 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 la. I was like, that scene was bad. Like, pacing was bad. It made no sense. It didn't relate to growth story. It should have been straight up there, get to the Nisaka, get the yaoi moment, and just ignoring everything else. Yeah. And then before that episode was really slow, I think. To be honest, the episode up to Ririn and getting there, and Nisaka getting there. Yeah, at the moment before, when it's like hiding from Pastek's friends, and they're like, oh, the girl I don't like, and he's like, I don't like those gyro girls or something. I was like, are there gyros in his world? I was like, what? That's not a gyro for me, man. But then, yeah, I was like, that scene was just weak. That whole, probably like the first 80 minutes of a week, really that part was good, little too long out. That was this weird, yeah. And then I get to the Romeo and Juliette part, which was very aesthetic. I was this though, so the aesthetics of the Romeo was great. The blue scenery, the positioning of the blade, the poison, some of the dance moments, they were really good. They were very beautiful. But I felt though, they were kind of padding at the time. Because really it was like, wow, there's literally no value in this though. It's very beautiful, but it doesn't bring the story for a second longer. Because we are used to getting the Romeo and Juliette, which I have seen 1,000 times before in my life, in 1,000 other media stuff, in other 100 animes, other TV shows, other movies, yeah. You're just giving me exactly that, but you have swapped genders, and I have seen that before too, so that's not even new. So basically you're giving me this beautiful, very beautiful aesthetics of a cross-swapped Juliette and Romeo, two very beautiful Bishonen and Bishonen characters, and it feels super, I don't know what to feel like. Is it gay? I don't know, but it's like super in that thing. It's very anime, I guess. Gender doesn't really matter. Everyone does everyone, yeah, I guess. But it's like, I've seen it before. It doesn't really bring anything right. It's like 2 minutes of that, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful enough to keep me entertained. But afterward, I'm like, wow, that didn't happen. Nothing happened. I guess he was staring at her. I guess that's the point. I don't know, right? So, yeah, the episode really only had like 2 moments, right? Last part, and actually, maybe a little bit really now, but maybe like Nisaka, Nejima in the dressing room, and the ending really disappointed me. The ending was good, but obviously it was the last minute and it was ending, right? So, I don't know. I think the anime is definitely very slow paced. The last 2-3 episodes have been incredibly slow paced, actually. The beginning, I remember I watched the first episode, I was like, amazing how much storyline, how much dialogue they had. It felt like I was watching 2 episodes of anime. Episode 3, I was like, wow, so much dialogue, but great dialogues too, like every line here. But now I feel like, man, it's just like that. Like, I don't know what to do now. And I guess probably this author that had a lot of good ideas in the beginning, and he or she, I'm guessing a woman, just threw out all of her she threw out all of her best stuff in the beginning, and they could feel out the first chapters, and the first episode of anime had a lot of more content per minute was that, and now it's more like, yeah, she has like a general storyline, but it isn't really like getting there at speed, or more like, okay, maybe pacing isn't that bad, but there's too few jokes, I think. Yeah, I think that could be a thing too. It kind of feels like episode 3 probably had like 10 times more jokes, like 10 more jokes during the same time frame. But it's like, it's a lot of like dead, it's a lot of like space, okay, that happens. Anyway, I don't know, I'm so over here. I think I kind of covered my theory, I guess. I think she just means stars align, not actual matchmaking, because that would be super complicated to fix that. Or she's a genius hacker, which I don't like. Makes her say it's anime, like it's anime is like a drama relationship anime. So why do you have to have like a hacker or genius girl or something? That is kind of weird. Anyway, see you next week and have a great